Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. And in this video, we're going to talk about something very important, which is related to the leadership. We kind of talked about the leadership positions and why immigrants are not part of it in the previous video. However, I want to emphasize that this channel, although it is named Immigrants Succeed, we are trying to talk about anything and everything related to an immigrant life and something that will help you succeed. And leadership is definitely one of those factors, and something that, especially if you're becoming an advocate, you have to kind of master. And even if you're not, you can just be a regular employee, someone who is doing way better than everybody else, or a top performer in a group, and eventually you will be promoted to that leadership position, or eventually you have to take control of the group. If you don't already, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I usually do not ask this, and it's because really I don't believe in advertisement. I believe that people should be free in order to make the decisions themselves. However, it absolutely helps with the algorithm and this channel being recommended to other people. All right, let's talk about the leadership and the lessons that I've learned. Now, let's talk about the history or the story of why and how I got involved, what did I do, and how did I come up about these four different lessons that I'm going to talk about in this video. So, I obviously moved here when I was in high school, which means in 2013, and then lacked English proficiency to the level that I could not speak at all or barely understood people, and people barely understood me. And then so made my way through high school and then community college and then UC Berkeley. Now, when I got to UC Berkeley, as I mentioned in the previous video, I've noticed that immigrants are struggling a lot when it comes to turning in their assignments. They often have to put 2 or 3 times as of anyone who was just born here. And I started this campaign called ESL accommodation, where basically we will provide, or the university and the admission will provide, the similar accommodations that is provided to disabled students, but to a less extent for those who are qualified to be, in that category of ESL students who do need the help. Because just think about it, they have to do a lot more in their head when it comes to those exams, and so they need extra time and a little bit of a quiet place somewhere that they are not judged when they're turning in their paper later than others. So this is eventually is not non-existent in universities, so that was something that I had to start my own campaign and then talk about it in student body organizations. And that meant that I had to use other organizations, these minorities, because there's no such thing for immigrants, in order to kind of progress and be able to even echo my voice, you know? And so through that way, I got to become a co-chair in Disabled Students Commission, which was part of the ASUC in UC Berkeley. And over there, kind of as well as fighting for disabled students, because at the time I was one, but also kind of push forward this campaign. Now that you have a backstory, I would like to get into the lessons that I've learned from communicating with different student body offices, officials, as well as the admission factor. And I want to put the most cliche one for the last to kind of get you guys involved into other stuff that I've learned that are more interesting. So let's start with the first one. And it was to not rely or trust or believe in those different offices that at some point trying to validate your idea and kind of confirm interests about what you're trying to push forward. Because at the end, and if it comes to that point, that at some point, we're not even talking about contradiction here. We're talking about at some point, your idea, your project will take away the tension, the potentials and the things that they worked for from their project. They will screw you and they will not support you. They will, as a matter of fact, I've seen it with my own eyes, that will stand against you and your project. and try to push it down. Now, by project, we're talking about like, campaign, anything that you're really trying to push forward. And so this happened to me with an individual who eventually became like the vice president ish position at the ASUC. At first, he was very much supportive of the idea, and I even voted for him and everything else. And right after he received the office, and even like the very first couple weeks, he was with the whole ideology until he started, or his office started working on something else, another project that was kind of at that point that they needed that attention from the admission side of the team, and they saw that if my project is pushed forward and is put out there, it will take away from their work and them receiving the attention. So they completely screw me. They completely stand against the whole thing. They show the same exact individual and same exact office. Now all of a sudden was against the whole thing. Of course, it did not stop me. I went from different avenues, but I was absolutely destroyed and shattered to see that a person or an office can flip like in a matter of a moment in front of you and kind of change their face and now want to go against you. All right. Now, that was okay. So, the first one. So, be a little bit political when it comes to sharing your ideas, when it comes to showing your cards, when it comes to pushing forward your campaigns, and essentially talking about every details. That's really important. You want to kind of keep them in a loop, but to a limited effect, just in case, there's something that they don't really like, or something that goes against their project. They just don't have enough information to at least go against you, because you're aiming for a good cause. It's not like you're doing something horrible that will affect every other person in a negative way. So, it just sometimes doesn't make sense. And it's better to let them know less than more in everything. Okay. So that was the very first factor. But on the other side, which we come to the second one, it's that you want to be as up forward and straight with your partner. And what I'm talking about is that, for example, in this organization that I was the co-chair, so immediately the name kind of indicates it, co-chair, that means there are two of us. I started at first kind of being in that um, animosity, or getting that feeling that my partner does not like me or does not want to support me, because we had a lot going on, with the Disabled Students Commission, and it was just a lot of work. And my partner was disabled, not even working fingers, but he was amazing. He was doing his work or his part of the job. But of course, there were certain things that I had to kind of step up. And, at first it started this rocky route, and we both felt disconnected and kind of not at the same page, but with a straight up face and a lot of communications, we were able to kind of, get through this and kind of figure it out. Um, where we're trying to go, and which part of these responsibilities we have to kind of answer, and that's really important. It's pretty much you want to look at them like your partner in life and kind of share everything with them. And then the third factor is do not be discouraged if you see or hear that other organizations copy your project, copy what you're aiming for, and they're kind of talking about it or trying to aim at it too. So, one of the first things that I immediately realized was that in the very first couple of days, that basically these organizations, these offices, they're coming together, they're showcasing their heads and all the people that work for them. I've noticed that my note card just fell off. I noticed that there was this another person who, of course, everybody nowadays wants to be included in a minority team and how they're suffering and etc. etc. Even though they were born here and English is like literally their first or second language. And so I've noticed that this person is exactly copying my idea and is basically showcasing it as one of these amazing things that he's pushing forward with his campaign. And he was talking about all these amazing things, especially like this democratic stuff that everybody at a university like UC Berkeley will be backing it and kind of pushing it forward. And I was kind of discouraged, at first. I was like, maybe I shouldn't push this forward. Maybe I should just stop here. Maybe I should let him go. And he was one rank above me. He was a leader from an organization or an office within the president's office of the ASUC. So that was so he had better connections. And again, like in terms of the position, he was above me. And that at first it was really discouraging, but I did not stop because I really care about this project and I believe immigrant students should receive some sort of accommodations when they're attending university, especially if we're talking about these top-notch universities that they're asking for the best work. And often these professors are not realizing how much more difficult it is for immigrant students to turn in the same amount of work as somebody who was born here or their English is on that different level at that higher level. And so I kept going, I kept going. I was like, at least I have the accent, I have the face. People would trust me more. And I've been doing this for the past a year and a half versus I don't know how much this guy has been working on it. Long story short, it turned out that he just went with different projects, and although there was a face of his campaign or one of the faces of his campaign, their team actually did not really progress on it. And what it happens is that I was the only one in the field with the help of my team and another organization within the president's office that kind of pushing this forward. But if I would have stopped because I've heard the same story or same ideology or the same link from somebody else like him and seeing that he is in a better position, so he will definitely go after it and I should just stop, then this thing would have never. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't even in the position or graduated as soon as the semester ended, so I couldn't even get the project to the level that it's supposed to be. But imagine if I didn't even start this, or if I didn't even initiate it, the very first steps. All right, so do not get discouraged if you hear somebody else is mentioning your idea or the project you're pushing forward. And lastly, just um, don't fully rely or be fooled by their, resume of these people that are in the office, especially those who are claiming to be the top notch or those who are holding these amazing positions. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that, and this has to be applied in your friendships and in your workforce as well. Because we often, I mean, I personally am a little bit about like, the prestige, the positions, the things that one person does, the resume, right? I pay attention to them, I read them, I inspire by them, and I think they're important, right? And then I always would like go to these meetings. Again, it was just a lot of networking, a lot of like talking to these different bodies, and I would go to these meetings looking up that person's name, looking up that head's name, looking at their LinkedIn profile, their resume, everything else. I'm like, oh my god, this guy is the goddess. Like, this guy is everything. And long story short, you show up to the meeting, this person is not even there, even though they were talking to you on the email. Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there. They send an assistant, not even the second rank, the third, not just an intern to talk to you. How disrespectful is that? How unorganized they have to be. If it's happening for one time, okay, but if it's constantly happening, then maybe they're not as well or as put together as the resumes are claiming. So, or like coming up late, not be prepared. I literally had this senator talking to for an entire night, talking about my project. He, of course, he had his camera off, and I was like, not everybody is on that position, but he showed up to a meeting and just like texting other people, and it was with different senators, with different other people that we already were working on this project. So what I've learned and I think it really should be something that you guys apply to, again, anything that you're trying to see or work with people, is that it doesn't matter the resume or the background. Okay, that part was cliche, but just put together a method that you will assess these people and then respect them and then give them a credit. So what I did is that I literally put together this method that I would draw a line, put everybody below it. Everybody is average. We all have one nose, two eyes, and everything else. And then when I saw performance above that line, when they were so after the project, when they will email me back and forth, when I saw that care, not just one time, not just two times, but three times and above, then I will put them above there. Because what often happens is that we look at these resume and we lose our shit. We're like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. This guy is a goddess. And we often put ourselves below them and we're trying to go with their lead when they don't even care about the project. They have their head somewhere else. So again, just put together a method, whatever you want to go with. I just gave you an example what I did, and then don't just give the respect and everything to them and put yourself down there. You have to ultimately push forward for your idea, and I hope these four factors really help you in future life. Again, in this channel, we're hoping to talk about everything that it comes to immigrant life, and it includes, like, the economic perspective of it, how it's affecting America. We're talking about like leadership because eventually you want to echo your voice, and other factors like these lessons that I've learned as an immigrant and as a refugee, and the things that I've learned from an educational system that is put together here. Again, I will appreciate if you like, subscribe, and share this video. And until the next one, peace.